welcome Jeremy Bills of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Thank you.
And I want to, I would, we were, we didn't get into this yet, but I would like to know a little bit about the path of what got you here.
Okay.
I know we met, I don't even know what year it was, like 2016, maybe even before that.
No, it was 20, I think it was because it was before let's see, I think it was about 2014
Oh,
because
wow.
I've been married for almost 6 years now. And I met you a
Right
couple years
before.
before that. So yeah, maybe
Oh, wow. Yeah.
2014.
So you called me for a consultation.
Yeah, I
That's how
did.
we came together.
Yeah, I was looking up online. I was working with a couple of other feng shui consultants, and I was in need of one. And so I just Googled feng shui in Utah, and your mentor, Mary Shirtliff, she came up on the Google search, and I contacted her. And within 10 minutes of sending her an email, you called me
Oh my gosh.
because she texted me. I emailed her my phone number and she texted me and she said, I'm no longer in Utah. I don't own the school anymore. Um, uh, the person that I have left my clients to and my practice to, she's going to call you. And 5 minutes later, you called me.
I was so
So,
desperate back then.
well, it was perfect timing because I was really interested in not only having a feng shui consultant come in and feng shui my house, but I was interested in learning about feng shui. I had always, I was 20 years ago, I had a friend that I worked with at Pier 1 Imports, and she got me into feng shui.
Mm.
And it's funny now that I'm a feng shui consultant, she's like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, you're the one that told me about feng shui, and now I'm the consultant. But it's funny. Yeah. It's been kind of an interesting journey over the last 20 years. And then coming in contact with you was just kind of magic because I was in need of a consultant and we set up a consultation right away.
Yeah, and it really connected. And I think that was your first exposure to Chinese astrology, was
Yeah,
it not?
I had never had a four pillar chart read before. And I was like, I thought you were just going to come in and feng shui my house and say, move this here and move that there and make that purple and then call it a day. But you're like, no, we're going to sit down first and I'm going to go over your four pillar chart. And I was like, what in the hell is that? But you explained it to me and it was so spot on. It was so spot on for what I had been experiencing in my life thus far.
Mm, that's awesome. And so I know we had done some, home searches and you moved and we done some stuff. And then what made you decide like I want to do the certification training? Like why would you want to become a feng shui practitioner?
Well, it was that journey. I mean, you came in and helped to feng shui my house that I was in at the time. And then I moved in with my husband, my now husband, and we were looking for a place that we could call our own. We didn't want him just moving into my space, which you helped us kind of merge the two worlds really beautifully. But we could tell that we needed a space that was both of ours. And it took about a year and a half of me texting you about 300 different spaces, different houses, and you going, "Are you kidding me? This is crazy." And it was that search. You were like, "Look at the land." You were throwing words out like landform. Look at the landform, and I'm like, "What the hell is landform?" And you were,
Mm.
you know, you were talking. You were always bringing it back to the four pillars. You were like, "Oh, well, your snake would enjoy such and such, or your dog is going to feel comfortable here." And I was like, I don't know what the heck she's talking about. So what I did learn from that whole experience was that you kept bringing it back to my four pillar chart and how that all came together in the search for my new place. Because when I found my new place, it was perfect. And it was not only perfect for me, but it was perfect for my husband and both of our energies. So that's what inspired me to really get involved.
Mhm.
Plus, the other thing is when you came through our place, our new place, and we set it all up, You looked at me and you said, you've really got an eye for this. I think you should take my training. And as soon as you said that, kind of a light bulb went on. So,
Wow, that's really cool. That's Thanks for sharing that story with me. I've always been curious and wonder how, and sometimes we get busy and we don't have time for those conversations.
hmm
So, in this journey of yours, because you've had it at a very personal level, just
hmm
as a client, and
yeah.
then you move through that intensive training, which is
hmm
intensive. You even go even deeper into your own feng shui, inner feng
Yeah.
shui and outer feng
hmm
shui, and then you start connecting with real life clients.
Yeah.
So, in this process over the last, 6 or 7 years, what does feng shui mean to you? There's kind of like, the book terminology of it, but what do you feel like feng shui is to you?
Well, feng shui to me is the practice of not only beautifying, but making all aspects of your life work together. Making all of the parts of your life that aren't quite working start to come into focus so that they can work with other aspects of your life. It's kind of an all encompassing thing. It's not just what color pillows you have, it's how does each space in my house make me feel, and how does it pertain to my life?
So what you're saying is it's about bringing an awareness that they're working in tandem,
Totally.
your space and what's going on in here.
Totally. Well, for my journey, I took the intensive training shortly after I realized I suffered from major, major anxiety. And during the course, during our intensive, I had just started barely dealing with
Mm.
extreme anxiety and PTSD. And what the training did for me is because we use ourselves in our own homes as case studies, what I found was all of the things that I had been feeling were totally normal for me. They were totally natural. And what feng shui has helped me realize is that my way of being on the planet is my way of being on the planet. And if other people can kind of get a sense for who they are and how they walk on the planet and how they can be in their own space, not only their own body, but in their own living space and also their business space, they can all work together so that you can work on things like anxiety. You can face things like PTSD.
Wow. It just feels so honoring, right,
hmm
of yourself or of your partner when you have that awareness.
hmm
And I do believe that, whether it's me being in somebody's space or you talking to a client or teaching a class, that it's like there's no turning back. Once you kind of have that
Nope.
awareness, whether it's exposure to your 4 pillar chart or to understand that your bedroom is in this sector and this is what it's reflecting back to you or whatever, it's eye opening.
It
And,
is.
and you have to shift to it.
Yeah, you can never unsee things that you've seen.
Yeah. So tell me, how do you use, because not all of my client or all of my students use feng shui the same way. And that's what I find so absolutely fascinating, is that each one of you graduates, now called the Via ProTeam, you have your own little niche because you bring your
hmm
own, you came to the table with your own gifts, with your own,
Right.
what did you come with already?
Well, for at least 20 years, I've been reading cards for people. And I've just done it as kind of a hobby. Like people will be like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, hey, let's do a card reading and find out what's going on.
Hmm.
And over the years, people are like, you should actually do this. Like, you're really good at this. This helped my life. This took my life in a completely different direction. You should actually do this. And I'm like, no, 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 whatever. And then I've always had an interest in Western astrology, and I started really intensely studying Western astrology for the last 10 years, and started working with a mentor 6 years ago, and have come to understand the language of Western astrology. And then when I met you, right around the time that I was getting really intense into Western astrology, I started noticing that these two languages, they come together really beautifully. And so getting the certification to do feng shui and Chinese astrology went hand in hand with Western astrology and doing readings in
Hmm.
tandem.
Yeah, you are incredibly insightful, intuitive. psychic, whatever you want to call it. You're somebody that I seek guidance from. And
Likewise.
the way you bridge and have taught me, because I kind of like, I kind of resisted Western astrology, like getting into it deeply, because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's too much for me to kind of bring together. But
Mm-hmm.
you've done it in such a beautiful way. So is that, if somebody, reaches out to you for a feng shui experience, are you going to bring those two worlds together for them?
Absolutely, especially if they ask, because if I get a referral of someone that is in need of a 4-pillar Chinese chart reading or feng shui, a lot of times what I find in the 4-pillar chart, there's some questions that might not be answered. And then that's when I can introduce Western astrology. And then vice versa. All of those that come to me with Western astrology questions, they go, I've got a really weird question about my house. Does that pertain? And I'm like, yes, it does. But I bring in this tool, Chinese astrology, that can kind of bridge the gap between the worlds.
So what does a consultation look like with you? Are you doing home consultations or businesses? And I know with the pandemic stuff, we're on pause,
Yeah,
but in an ideal setting, and I know you probably work remotely, right?
right. I do. Right now, I'm all strictly Zoom, working with Zoom sessions. And typically, if someone seeks me out for a reading, what I'll do is I'll do one or the other, the 4-pillar chart reading or the Western astrology reading at the first. If people are really, really gung ho and ready to go and they're interested in having both, on my website, there's an option to choose both, a combo reading.
Mm,
Those, and I warn people, that's going to be 3 hours of your time because there's a lot of information in each chart. There's an hour and a half of information in each language that I have to explain to you, or I get to explain to you, which is so much
mhm.
fun for me. And so it's an investment of time, but you're getting so much information that you can take with you into the future, which is really valuable.
Mhm. So are you at all going like remotely even into people's homes, if they provide a floor plan and doing that, or are you strictly sticking to astrology right now?
Right now, I'm mostly doing astrology readings,
Mhm.
Chinese and Western, and then again, bridging them together. But I do have a couple of clients that have sent me their floor plans and they've taken me through their house on their iPhone and kind of given me an idea. And it's very different than actually going into the home, feeling the energy in the space, feeling the energy of the people that live there and are there all the time. But I can get a basic idea and give you a few things that you can change or a few things that you can implement until we can meet again in a safe way.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you probably give some feng shui recommendations off of the four pillar
Oh,
chart.
oh, totally. And that's the cool thing is you can see where the animals are and where they fit into their home. And I can just say, hey, right now this animal's really struggling. Here's a cure that you can use that is going to help in that
Hmm.
area.
Yeah. That's, I just love talking about this stuff.
It's so fun. That's the other thing is I am so inspired by this work and I find it so invigorating and energizing and so much fun and interesting. Um, I just can't get enough of it. It's awesome.
And there's so many times when we're, because I, as a group of graduates, we, are continuing our education process by meeting and doing advanced classes or reviewing things. And there's so many times during our conversations we're like, you can't make this stuff up. Because there's
True.
so many dots that are connected and so
Hmm.
many aha moments and so many patterns and realizations, not
Yeah.
just from us but from our clients. And then it's just it's just so expansive and exponential.
Yeah.
So, do you have like any success story that you would like to share of a
Yeah.
client that you were able to show up for them? Of course, they reached out to you because they were ready for your guidance.
Hmm.
You were available to show up for them and tap in, tune into what they needed from you. Like because a lot of people, it's like, well, if I'm going to spend the money, what am I going to get out of this? That's kind of where people are at. So what would, what's an experience that you've had with a client where it's like, this was phenomenal. Not only I felt it, but man, did their life shift.
Well, the experience that I'm going to share is I'm just going to preface this with, this is very extreme. I've never had this happen before, but I'm going to share it because this gives an idea of what Feng Shui has the power of helping you to do. My dear friend, she's one of my best girlfriends in the whole world. Her name's Mindy, and she is a very, very well-known vocal coach. She works with many celebrities, and her studio is in Utah. And I went in and I feng shuied her vocal space, her vocal studio. And she was mostly doing it because she's my friend, and she's like, oh yeah, she's totally into the world of woo woo, as I call it. But she's like, oh, we'll see what happens. I'm sure this will be helpful. And I did her space about almost 2 years ago. And we haven't like updated it or anything. And she has a neighbor that has a very lively business, and it makes a lot of noise. And there's a lot of customers that come in and out. So it's kind of hard during like a recording session if she's recording a client and there's a bunch of noise coming from next door. So that was one of the issues that we wanted to address while I was doing the consultation.
Not to mention that that lively energy was actually on the wrong side of her business.
Exactly.
It should have been on the dragon side on the left rather than.
Which the dragon side is a very quiet business. And so, yeah, she had all of this lively energy going on. And she called me one night, a couple of years after I did the consultation. She goes, you're never going to believe what happened. Now, just to preface this, I used what's called a bagua mirror to kind of absorb some of the energy of the lively energy and kind of reflect it back to the next door neighbor. And I put them all along the wall. I put 3 mirrors along the wall so that the noise could kind of deflect on some of the noise. One day she called me and she goes, you're never going to guess what happened. And I was like, okay, tell me what happened. A customer that was going to go to this business next door to my friends was pulling into the parking space directly in front of the next door neighbor.
So is this like a strip mall?
It is. It's like a strip mall, and there's businesses right next to each other.
Okay.
So it's the business right on the other side of the wall from my friend's business. And this woman was going to park in the parking stall directly in front of the business next door. And instead of pushing the brakes, she pushed the gas. And the car went right through the window of the next door business. Now, here's the interesting part. It shattered the wall, shattered the glass. It cracked the foundation because the building is pretty old. It's pretty old. And it cracked the foundation. And the glass that shattered from the window literally lined up right on the property line.
Oh my God.
One shard of glass crept over into my friend's space. And there was no damage on her walls. She didn't have one picture fly off of the wall. Nothing. Nothing was broken.
Wow.
No damage. And her space is still intact.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So again, Feng Shui is, it's kind of woo-woo, but when you really start to understand how each space has its own energy that it's putting out and that you're putting your energy into, and how it's giving you energy back, when you can understand the flow of that, that is where the power, that's where the power is.
Yeah, and it's not like you put those mirrors up there to get rid of the neighbors. It's like, no, let's just see if this will help the relationship between the two.
Let's just see if it will help with the noise. And I had no intention of something, protecting my friend from the energy. It was just, let's see if we can reflect some of their own energy back.
So is that noisy neighbor moving back in there?
Yeah. But now we know, that those mirrors really helped to shield any negative energy that noise could have been producing.
Yeah. Wow, that's a big one.
It
Dang.
is.
That's one for
And
the
I've got
books.
many other stories. I mean, that's just my most extreme one, but yeah.
Well, I can imagine just, I mean, I've had chart readings by you, the Western and some of the Eastern, and it's just, oh my gosh, the guidance that you receive and the comfort. You're so compassionate and so giving of yourself and your insights and your knowledge. And when you're, one thing I love about you is we're sitting there doing a reading and your space is beautiful to begin with. And then you want to care for me when I sit down. And then you've got cards, you've got the two charts, you've got your pendulum out. Like
Mhm.
you want to have access to any information that's coming in.
Yeah, because as a feng shui consultant and an astrologer, I'm I'm leaving myself open to the energies that your guides want me to express to you. My guides want to express, ancestors, anything that can come through with any of the tools that I've learned how to use. I want to use to the best of my ability. So I'm ready with all of my things. I've got candles and crystals and all of the things that are out ready. And even in doing remote, I mean, if you could see my desk right now, I've got all of my tools ready to go. But one thing I also want to add is a lot of the techniques of how I read, not only Chinese charts, but Western astrology, I learned from you in the training. You helped me to kind of, before my readings, the way my readings changed after I did your certification was you are the one that taught me how to tap into that compassion and tap into how is the other person feeling. In your Western astrology chart, you have a lot of Pisces energy. I don't have a ton of Pisces energy in mine. And that Pisces energy really helped me to kind of tap into the compassion factor so that I can kind of get a feel for how my client is, not only in the moment that we're doing the reading, but
Mm-hmm.
how I can kind of pick up on some of the energy of as to why they sought me out in the first place.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
lovely.
thank you.
You're welcome. What do you have some things that people, who are watching that is like if somebody says, "Hey, give me a feng shui tip. What can I do?" Like what is your it seems like every practitioner has like a go-to. I have mine, I tell people if I had 15 minutes in your house, this is where I would go. This is what
Hmm.
I'd be looking for. What
Yep.
what's kind of your thing?
My tip is probably almost exactly the same tip as that you have, and that I've heard you tell people. Your house has its own specific energy. And if you're willing to listen to that energy, your house will tell you where to go. There's always a place in someone's house that they walk into the room and they're like, oh, I don't know if I like this. Or they'll go, oh, that room just feels weird. Go into the room and listen to your intuition. The house will talk to you. Your business space will talk to you. And if you feel like the bed is on the wrong wall, shift it and try it out. Just see how things feel. If the plant is in a corner and you feel like it's weird, move it to another corner and just listen to your intuition. The thing that I tell people every single time I do a reading is this: all feng shui and astrology are here to do is just validate what you already knew. You just didn't have the confidence or the trust to go
Mm-hmm.
for those personal impulses and for those intuitive hits. All astrology does and all feng shui does is validate, yeah, there's a reason why you were feeling weird in this room. Your
Mm-hmm.
intuition was trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
You just hired me to listen really closely, to really tap in and validate that you've already been feeling that way. So
And
that's my
yeah,
tip. Listen to your gut. Go
I
with your
love
gut.
that. And I don't think people realize that their physical space has a consciousness to it. It's living, it's breathing, it's absorbing your energy, it's reflecting back to you where it needs attention, what's broken, what needs
Hmm.
fixing, what's
Yeah.
really, like you said, we have our favorite room, we have our least favorite room, and
Right.
there's reasons why. And so
Hmm.
once you understand the energy of your space, and come into a relationship with it and build that relationship with it, you can have such a different experience. Because a lot of us, we go through our homes and we're stomping on the floor, we're slamming a door, or we run the vacuum into the baseboard, and we're not, it's not like you wouldn't do that to your child,
Mm-mm.
hit them with the vacuum. It's like, get out of the way. We don't care for our physical space and honor it, I think like we should be. And
Yeah.
I love that that's your kind of go-to tip. That's not my go-to, but I like that. I
Yeah.
think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I think the other thing is one of the reasons why people seek you and me out for a reading or for a consultation is because a lot of times when we're in our own space for so long, we don't see a lot of the things that a fresh pair of eyes can see.
Mhm.
And that's why our work is so important,
Yeah.
because if someone's going into a room and they can't really identify, or again, they're not listening to their gut intuition, that's where we come in. That's where we can kind of swoop in and be like, yeah, there's a reason why you were feeling strange in here.
Hmm.
Because I know I can't I can't see the same things in my house that you could see.
Yeah.
And yeah. I usually always need a fresh pair of eyes to see for me. And reading my own chart, forget about it.
I know, right?
There's no way. That's why I call you all the time and I'll be like, what is going on? Look at my chart, please.
So how do people, do you have a website? Are you on Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram? How do people find you?
Yep. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and also I have a YouTube channel. And my website is www.createwithj.com. Create is spelled CRE and then the number 8. And you can find the links to all of my social media on the website. You can also, the first screen that comes up on my website has a book now feature. If you click on that, it directly links you to my schedule and you can book straight from the
Oh,
website.
that's awesome. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's super easy.
It's 2 clicks.
So how long is, like, if somebody wanted to do one reading with you, one of the
Mm-hmm.
schools, how long does that take? An hour and a half?
Yep. It's
Okay.
90 minutes for a first time reading.
That's cool. And it's recorded and all of that. And
Yeah.
I love the recordings because then I can come home and tell my husband, listen to this,
Yeah.
learn about me.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's so awesome.
And
So
then
I'll
also,
include the links too in this below
oh,
here on
awesome.
YouTube.
Thank you.
Provide
Also, I
those.
wanted to just add that between now, if you book between now and the end of the year, I'm doing $10 off your first time reading as well.
Oh, wonderful. Those, and you know what? Although it can be such a nice gift to give somebody, but they have to be ready. Have you found that
Exactly.
to be true?
Totally.
I've had people over the years buy gift certificates or even been a part of the silent auctions.
Mm-hmm.
And if people aren't ready, they're not going to use it.
Nope, they won't. And if they do use it, they possibly won't get out of it what they
Hmm.
could.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I've done a free reading for someone or put a free reading into an auction and someone wins it, sometimes I'll get a phone call and a year and a half later saying,
Mm.
oh, I won this at a Christmas party 2 years ago. Can I still use it? I'm like, absolutely, because you weren't ready to hear the information that I'm going to
Hmm.
give you until right now.
Yeah. It's so funny the way that works. So I'm going to ask you another question
Okay.
that came up to me. Why do you think feng shui matters so much in this day and age? Because it's a very old system. Why is it still important?
That's a really good question. I think one of the reasons why feng shui is so important, especially right now, is there is a huge shift happening on the planet right now.
Mm.
It's not only a shift of the physical reality and all of our physical realities, but it's a huge spiritual paradigm shift. And every human being is being asked to level up.
Mhm.
And leveling up for human bodies is very difficult. And Feng Shui is just one more thing that the universe has given as a gift to everyone to be able to have a key in applying to their life so that they can level up.
Mm. Dang, I got goosebumps. My heart is full. That that's beautiful, and I
Good.
could not agree with you more. I
Yeah.
appreciate your time so much. Your time is
Thank
very precious
you.
to me. You're very precious to me.
Thank you.
And I
Likewise.
know that the people I know so many people who have had readings with you, and it's fun, it's insightful, it's just everything that they need. Of course, when you're ready for it. I
Hmm.
can't recommend Jeremy enough for a reading. He's brilliant. You can sense his energy. And do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to share or anything you want to add before we sign off here?
Yes, one major thing. If anything that you've heard during this interview has sparked your interest or sparked your imagination, if you want to learn more, please reach out to Tina. She's such a valuable resource I was going to say Utah Valley, Salt Lake Valley. Via Feng Shui School of Utah changed the whole course and direction of my life. And the intensive training that she offers twice a year it's a game changer. If you want a completely different life trajectory or just something to help you and your own family in helping understand energies of yourself and your family members and your friends, please reach out to her. The training program is incredible. I love it. And I love her. She's one of my favorite people in the whole planet. So thank you, Tina. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, that wasn't fishing for a plug there, but that was really
I know.
nice.
I
Thank
just
you.
threw it in.
This has been fun, and we just need to get, level up. Let's level up quickly,
Let's
people, so
do
we
it.
can
Let's
move
do
on and
it.
get back to things. Or not get
Exactly.
back, but let's create our new next step reality.
Yeah. Create a new reality with everyone so that we can all level up and move forward together.
Because we all deserve to have people like you in our lives to help us along this path. We're not meant to do it alone.
Right.
We have to have people that are, a part of our team that we can call on. And some people you can't have these conversations with.
Right.
And it's fun when you can have these conversations.
It is.
It's the best. I love you. I appreciate you.
I love you
And
too.
we'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you. And I'm going to get all your contact information. Remember, it's createwithj.com.
Createwithj.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.